Welcome to the Put on Waivers Media Group, home of the Put on Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome, everybody, to another glorious episode of the Put on Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with my special guest, Marcus Johnson, Tape Don't Lie, all those things like that. So we'll talk about the Raiders, the draft, the quarterback situation. We know Marcus loves some quarterbacks, so we'll talk about that. POR SBR is my Twitter handle, and DMark NFL. What's your Twitter again?
At the Mark John NFL.
At the Mark John NFL. So we can check him out there as well. Tape Don't Lie with we got Glenn Rockney on there on Friday nights. Y'all be popping off, and then you also have Matt Holder as well. So I'm looking at the Raiders, and I'm saying to myself over and over again, if I was Telesco, I would the three position groups for rounds 1, 2, and 3, the way the roster is constructed right now, for me, would be QB, O-line. Just because people have, Illuminor is gone. The depth is pretty depleted on that side. They did most of the work on the defense. Spending a lot of money on Wilkins. What are your thoughts about the quarterback position here at 13? I know it's a thing we keep going back and forth on. I think a lot of people want best player available. He's not a guy who usually swings trades to get back into the first round. So that would make me be really worried about that. Yeah, he should have relationships with other GMs. But if you're sitting there, the thing that scares me about not taking a quarterback at 13, and I'll let you go off on it, is I got Seattle, who has Penix's offensive coordinator. I got Pittsburgh, who doesn't have a quarterback who is any kind of long-term deal on that team, and then a guy like Stafford is 37 years old.
Yeah, when you have some of these teams, especially with Michael Penix, I wouldn't expect maybe the Rams to take him. I know a lot of teams just want to put a quarterback with the team, but when you have a veteran quarterback, I don't think they're going to start planning until it's time to plan for that. And they believe in Matthew Stafford. I don't think that's really going to happen with Penix. I think if Penix doesn't go, if the Raiders don't pick Penix, I think Penix has a chance to be there in the second round. I think a little bit of his buzz is just a little too late. Like JJ McCarthy's buzz, his rise started in January as soon as he got off that championship. Michael Penix's rise has really just started when the coaches got involved, and the coaches still on the GMs, so they could say what they want and they could pull it out, and they could send whatever text they like to send. They're not the GM at the end of the day, so most of the time the GM is going to make the pick, and I kind of think that Penix will still be there in the second round, but the Raiders have to make the decision though. They have to kind of see how this board goes. This draft's not going to go exactly how every mock draft thinks it is. So I think some of these quarterbacks might fall, further than we think. The Patriots might like Marvin Harrison or something like that, or they might like somebody else. I mean, there's things that could happen in the draft that could just be shocking and surprise people. The NFL draft is never just boring. You know what I mean? There's always something crazy or exciting, or some guy you thought was going to go first round doesn't. Some guy you thought was going to go top 10 doesn't. You know what I mean? Especially with quarterbacks too. You see that a lot. You might see Drake May fall. You might see JJ McCarthy fall. One of those guys might fall. I mean, you might even see Jaden Daniels fall. There's a possibility for that. Those type of things are out there. Just because Mel Kiper's saying it doesn't mean it's really going to happen. So, we'll see. The draft is. I think he's got to right now at this point. He's got to watch the board fall to him. So if it's quarterback falling, then yeah, you got to trade up. If you see Jaden Daniels or Drake May or one of those guys falling to 6 or 7, and you have to get aggressive there. In my opinion, that's what I think. If we see him, kind of see one of those guys fall and he kind of just holds it back and he just waits, then I got a little bit of a problem with that. I think you got to be a little bit aggressive there and kind of get your quarterback, especially, because I did a scenario on our last mock draft on Friday Night Live
Mm-hmm.
when I did a scenario of trading up from 13 to 9 to get Drake May, just, kind of Drake May might fall. There's ESPN.com does kind of this ranking top 100. His name's like Jeff Legwald, and he usually lands where these guys are going to go, and he had May 23. So I think there is a possibility of that actually happening. So if that happens, I mean, it was only a third round pick, the second round pick from the next year, which would probably be like a value of 520, and the first round pick this year, and I was able to move up from to 9 with the draft value chart. So you don't have to give up as much at that point in time when they get closer to you. So that's when I expect him to be aggressive. If he has a quarterback coming close to him and he decides he doesn't want to be aggressive, that's when I get a little upset about it.
Yeah, 100%. And if May is the guy who falls,
Mm-hmm.
he kind of fits the build of the height, weight, guy that a guy like Tom Lesko is always kind of coveted, right?
Yeah. So he's kind of fit the bigger size guy that he really likes. He really likes these kind of, like, I would say, kind of Justin Herbert type of guys, but he wants them to be athletic too. So even like Brad Sorensen, who he drafted, I think, I don't know, I forgot what year it was, but he's 7th round guy. He's like 230, right? And then even Easton Sticks 224, like, which I was not so surprised. I didn't know he was that big. Pretty big dude. Even he's only 6'1". Tua, who he had a lot of interest in, was 217. So he does like those guys who have pretty good NFL size, I would say, weight wise. And I don't think height really is a thing with him. So, but somebody like Bo Nix that might be 6'1", like 214. It might be kind of somebody like that. But like Jaden Daniels is 6'4", right? So he's 6'4" still, might be 210. And he likes athletic quarterbacks too, as well. So that's a big thing that he likes. And so Drake May really fits that mold. So Drake May is probably like the number one target that you feel like, just historically, right?
Yes.
Now he feel like that's a guy that he would really like, right?
Yeah.
But I still think as a franchise, they want Jaden Daniels. Mark Davis is not going to let him pick Drake May over Jaden Daniels. Let's just say that, right? If it's a choice and he has a choice between those two, Mark Davis is going to step in. He's going to be like, whoa, wait a second, right? That's the type of thing that would happen with that. But let's say Drake May does fall, that'll give Telesco to have that chance to kind of just be like, oh yeah, he was number one on the board the whole time, and kind of say what those guys say all the time.
So with like the word about like Drake May falling a little bit, and then they've been people talk about McCarthy that left and right here and there. It seems like Daniels is the second quarterback gonna go after Caleb Williams. So, and I'm not trying to burst Raider Nation's bubble. I'm just trying to be just be like real on the show. I don't want to be fake.
Yeah.
But why? It seems like that would be the spot with Kingsbury, with Adam Peters there. It just seems like that would be the spot for Daniels to go to Washington. Like, is there a scenario in your mind you think that they wouldn't take Daniels second?
I mean, there could be a scenario if they like Drake May. I mean, there might be a scenario where they might take what's his name, JJ McCarthy. So if they go ahead and do that, that could be a scenario for them as well.
That would flip the draft. That'll flip the draft. But then,
I mean, it's possible
but Jaden will end up in New England
Peters
at
is a
that
West
point,
Coast
I
guy,
think.
yeah. So since Peters is a West Coast guy, and Dan Quinn loves to play defense, and you got Mr. Game Manager over there, you could fall in love with him, man. And he has a great personality. He has a defensive personality, I believe, and like a defensive coach. Like, even because Jim Harbaugh's a defensive coach, I don't care what a quarterback type of guy. They play defense everywhere he goes. They play defense.
They play really good
don't
defense.
play offense.
Yeah,
they really don't play offense, and they get away with it, but they play great defense wherever he goes. So, that's probably gonna be the biggest difference for the Chargers this year. But I mean, that's a side type of thing. But with the Commanders, I mean, they could go Drake May too. I think it's a possibility. I think that kind of alpha male little thing they did, little alpha male circle kind of alpha male boot camp they did it at the quarterback, bringing those quarterbacks in was super interesting. But
yeah. Oh, my bad. Sorry about that. Power outage over there.
Sorry.
You're good.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I kicked it. Yeah. But I was saying like they had the little alpha male type of boot camp type of thing, and when that happened, you know, Jay Daniels didn't really have a good, I guess, time there. I guess he kind of just didn't stand out. So since that type of situation happened with him, they might not like him anymore. But it could be a pump fake too. So
Yeah,
you know,
that's
we're
true.
getting lied to. Everything's a lie at this point.
Everything's a lie this week. Right? Can you rank those six? Who are those guys in your mind ranked? If you rank the six quarterbacks,
If I rank the six quarterbacks myself, I mean, I would go Caleb Williams for sure, number one. Then I would go Jaden Daniels. I would go Drake May. I would go Michael Penix, and then I go JJ McCarthy, and then I go Bo Nix.
okay, okay. And does JJ McCarthy? I've heard this term a lot. Like he is a, just a version of Alex Smith.
Yeah, I mean that would be my comp for him for like
Is the arm
even
strength
coming out.
is the arm strength a little bit better than himself? Than
At
him
certain
though?
times,
Yeah.
I think he can drive the football down the middle of the field. You
Mhm.
know, so you see the arm strength when you drive into the middle of the field. It's just outside the numbers. The ball dies a little bit. It's not, and he can't be as accurate. You know, the big thing I think is like he can't throw left, which I mean, whatever. I don't know how much that was Jim Harbaugh or him. So we'll find out. You know, that's what we get to the charting and stuff with some of these college guys. I think it gets a little weird because we don't know what they're asked to do on offense or how they're
Yes.
asked to read things and
100%.
things like that. So when we get to the charting and the weird stats and you know trying to knock these guys, you just kind of you know just take the L and just be like it's really hard to translate these guys to the NFL. You can't find some stat to make you feel better about it. So you know I think with JJ, you know he was very effective on third down when they needed him to make throws. He made the throws. You know he's able to move the chains. You know he reminds me of Alex Smith because Alex Smith was just kind of just as athletic. Alex Smith could be used in the run game. Alex Smith can, you know, do a lot of those things that they did in Kansas
Mhm.
City with him. You know, and even at the end with Jim Harbaugh, you know, he ran that Kaepernick offense first before
Yep.
Kaepernick came out there, and he had that like you know that big run in the playoffs. So I think they have that same skill set. You know, even the same arm strength, in my opinion. You know, because I think Alex Smith didn't had like a big arm where he could throw like 60 yards,
Mhm.
but you know he's a first round. He went number one for a reason. He could drive the football at times. He was just kind of conservative, and that's what JJ McCarthy is. I don't know how many times I've seen JJ McCarthy throw it deep on film, and I don't want to keep looking for it. So, you know,
Yeah, it can be lonely listening to music in the background, trying to watch aisle 22, and you're like, I just want to see one play. I want to see one play. That's it.
yeah,
The first time I put on Bo Nix's all 22, he had that like 60-yard run for a touchdown. Obviously, mobility is part of his game. What is your? I know people. Raider Nation is they're gonna riot and they're gonna riot in Detroit if they pick Bo Nix.
yeah.
But what were your feelings about Bo Nix? Because I was more Bo Nix over Penix, but now you know just like kind of just now when I'm finished all my stuff, I'm finished all my research. I kind of put Penix above him, above Nix. What does Nix bring to the table?
You know, I think Nick's brings safeness. I think you know, I can see where he would be a pretty a decent NFL quarterback. I don't know what his upside is. I don't know, you know, what how where his ceiling is. You know, I think he has a pretty
Yes.
good floor though. Because a good floor, good accurate quarterback, good mechanics. Fix a lot of his mechanics at Oregon. So I mean, they got a good coaches over there that are really working on his mechanics. Can definitely run the West Coast offense if you want to come in and run a quick passing offense. If you had to draft him, that's probably what you want to do. You know, the thing is, you know, at Auburn he was a wild man, right? And you know, I always say this when I talk about Bo Nix that I could still see it there. And I think if we saw more of, if he could find a way to mix kind of how he was at Auburn and how he was at Oregon, he can hit a higher ceiling. Right.
Mhm.
But we don't, I don't know if that's going to happen because I don't know if he just decided he wanted to play a different way, but he was just more of like he was a game manager too. But you know, JJ McCarthy just has a lot more upside. I think just as like a guy who's going to get things done when they needed to get done. You know, Bo Nix, I thought he had some opportunities to beat Washington. You know, and he didn't really have a chance to take advantage of that. And he kind of got it back into the game kind of late. And I, you know, because you think about it, you know, I know you're a big Pac-12 fan. Maybe you're telling me I'm wrong. I feel like Oregon had a better defense than Washington did.
Oregon
So
was a better team.
Yeah, they're the better team. Okay,
They're the better
that's
team.
what I thought.
Yeah,
Right. So,
they're the better team. Yeah, they're the better
but
team.
you know, Washington had the better quarterback in that game, so Michael Penix was able to outplay him and make more throws than Knicks was. So you know that's why you know I'm a little lower than Knicks than most, but because you know
Yeah,
I take that into account. I think you know how you play in big games as a quarterback. I mean, that's what we need, man. And you're in the AFC Championship game.
yeah,
We need a guy who we need a big game quarterback. So you want a guy who has that pedigree of playing well in big games. And you know, we saw
yeah.
that with CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud went out and tore up Georgia, and then he's tearing up the NFL. So it's kind
Yeah.
of the same thing.
Yeah, the first time Oregon played Washington, Dan Landing went full what's the former quarterback, the former coach of the Chargers? What's his name again?
Brandon Staley.
Staley. Basically, he went full Staley. He was going for two every 5 seconds and they lose the game by 3 points. So that was like I think the second time they played, Washington did the better job, but the first time they
Yeah.
played, they really should have split. They should have split. They should have split. No question about it. Um, the talked about the quarterbacks. Obviously, a need is going to be at guard and offensive line. What are your thoughts about that? Let's just say they take a quarterback first.
Mhm.
Who do you feel like if you go when you get to that second round, that 44th pick, or around that second 44th pick, who do you like as far as that guy, as far as some faces for Raider Nation to get that offensive lineman they want?
So like you know, for offensive line, I think I would like you know definitely Rosengarten is a guy for me at right tackle. Definitely somebody that Telesco's like just somebody I've been pointing out a lot. Kingsley Suamataya is another one. That'll be another guy at 44. He has the athletic profile and he has a pretty good film. He just played left tackle, so he had to probably move over to right tackle
Uh-huh.
if you took him. So you know the guys have made that transition a little bit better recently than you know say like in the probably even just last decade. I think this decade has been a little bit easier. Guys are expecting that to happen because they want to get on the field, and you know there's not that many open left tackle spots at this point. And
Yeah.
you know if guys are good right tackle, you know, and Colton Miller leaves, and you can probably move him right back over to left. And just like how the Cardinals are doing it, they drafted Paris Johnston, and now he's the left tackle for them. Actually, he played pretty good at right tackle last year, but then they were able to get rid of DJ Humphries and kind of get some salary cap freedom, and they were able to kind of just move over Paris. So I think that's kind of that type of situation where you can move some of those guys over. But those are the two tackles. You know, when it comes to guards, you know, I don't think guards are gonna go that early. Probably, you know, Barton might go early, one of those guys. But like, if they went 44 with the guard, it'd probably be somebody like Christian Haynes. I feel like that would be the type of guy that you'd want to do that with. He's from Connecticut, and he's a scheme fit. You know, Cooper Beebe, you know, at 44, but I don't know. You know, Beebe's buzz is not really that high, but he might go higher than I think. But I think Beebe's a guy at 77 that they might look at Cooper Beebe for offensive line. But you know, for like 44, I don't know how many guards that I would actually take at 44 besides like Graham Barton, maybe Jackson Powers Johnson. I think everybody else is kind of in the normal guard area. But for
Mhm.
tackle, I think Kingsley Suamataya and Roger Rosengarten are guys to point out.
You're on your show. You talk about something that people don't talk about enough about is that like the Raiders might need to go at some point wide receiver.
Yeah,
But because it just what I mean it's something nobody really talks about it. But I mean, but I know you kind of raised my eyebrow on that too as well. Is there because I think especially if it's Penix, they need a burner. And
yeah.
they need a burner to go along with Tucker. Who's the guy who's later on picks that could burn a little bit and maybe catch some deep balls.
I mean, there's guys like Jeremiah Burton is definitely a burner. That guy. I don't know how much of the profile he for Tom Telesco. Telesco's just so picky, man. He doesn't like burners, so it's hard for me to tell you which
He
burners
likes
he's gonna
big
like.
body receivers, right?
Yeah, he likes big body guys that run 4.5s. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. So I mean, Keenan Allen ran a 4.7. He drafted him so in the third round. So you know, it kind of tells you what kind of wide receivers you like. But when it comes to burners, you know, there's Burton. You know, there's Tez Walker. You know, I don't know where Tez Walker's going to go. I think his buzz is kind of dying down. People are saying that he can't separate. I don't know how much is that. If people just liking Drake May or with Tez, but Tez can win deep. You know, Tez has a size. I think that's somebody that if he fell to 77 or something like that, that Telesco would take. He definitely has a size that Telesco likes. Maybe a little bit faster than what he usually would go with, but I think that height, speed, weight combination, you can work with that. I mean, even if he's a one trick pony. He's a big,
Mhm.
he's a big one trick pony. You know what I mean? Like he's not like
Yeah.
he's a contested catch one trick pony, that type of guy. He does a great job tracking the football. I really like him there. A guy that I like that might be a good fit that isn't a true defense, but he can win deep is Javar Burton from UCF. I think that's a guy that might be there around 77, or if they really like him, maybe 44. But Javar Burton is like the perfect, I would say, Tom Telesco wide receiver type that they would like. They would want to see him win deep, and that's the type of guy that they would do that. But the sneaky guy is Brendan Rice. Brendan Rice is he is basically a Tom Telesco wide receiver. He runs a 4.5. He's 6'2". He's 208. And he comes from USC, and then he has the Jerry Rice pedigree. That's a 4th or 5th round guy that you might see just come off the board. He had a top 30 visit. They've already had a visit with him. His dad played for the Raiders, and that might be that type of thing that Mark Davis might like too, and it might be a pick that he might want to do. So I think Brendan Rice has a chance to kind of be a guy that they might like, that might bring in.
As somebody who has seen every single play of Brandon Rice's career, do you feel like he went by? He's fast. He has some speed, but it takes him a while to. It's kind of that car who takes a while to get to that top speed. Like it takes him a minute to get to that top speed.
Yeah, and I agree. And it really came in a 4.5, and you watch his 10-yard split. His 10-yard split was a 1.53, so that means he got off the ball, right?
Yeah.
He got off really fast, but just that long speed, kind of that takeoff, is kind of like is maybe more like a quick burst, kind of like a running back type of thing, more than being like a long wide receiver. But he's tough catch in the air, man. He's got great hands, and
He does.
it's more about separating with him, like how much can he actually run a full route tree and be the bend and all those things. But Telesco really doesn't care about those things. He drafted was it Quentin Johnson?
Yes, he did.
You know what I mean?
Over
Like,
Zay Flowers. Over Zay Flowers.
You know what I mean? Zay Flowers too small, man. 5'9".
Yeah, he's too small. Well, him and the kid from the Houston were having big years this year. And they're both kind of small. You're big. Before I let you go, do you think any worries about Zamir carrying the load and maybe his pass pro? And then your biggest concern about Luke Getsy?
I think my biggest with running back, I think Zamir White can get the job done. I thought he was effective last year. I think they just have to have a pretty good offensive line. They were better run blocking to end the year than they were at the beginning of the year, and they're gonna have to be a good offensive line because he's not a creator. So he's not going to be able to make up for them getting their butts kicked. Okay, so but if they do a good job, I think he showed better vision last year. Still saw a little bit iffy, but it's more that he's just not good in zone, and he's more of a power thing. So I don't know. I hope they kind of adjust with that, and maybe they expect Madison or one of these other guys, maybe Britton Brown. I don't know what their plan is, but we'll see how they feel about the running back room in the draft. If they go higher than we all think, which is a possibility. If they really feel like they want to get a running back, he's only drafted one before the 4th round, and the rest were either like 6th, 7th, and 4th for Joshua Kelly and who's the other, Isaiah Spiller.
What round was Eckler?
Eckler's undrafted.
He was undrafted. Oh wow.
So yeah. So the first question, I feel like that we'll find out how they feel about them, but I think Zamir White can get it done. I thought he played pretty well at the end of the year. Now for Luke Getsy, I think the biggest problem with Luke Getsy is going to be trying to adjust to the personnel of the quarterback. I think naturally what he wants to do is have an athletic quarterback, right? Yes. So if they can't find a quarterback that he likes, that's gonna be the tough problem because with Aiden O'Connell and I like Aiden O'Connell more than most, but like I feel like that he would be a little bit limited with Aiden because he's just not creative with short passing. Right. And I think you have to be like kind of like a little bit of a John Gruden wizard to win with Aiden O'Connell. You just have like 8,000 short passes. You have different slants and different, those type of things. And Luke Getsy, he wants to attack downfield, man. He's got like 8,000 vertical concepts. And that's the difference between him and I would say other West Coast guys. I think there's a little bit of a college element from his Mississippi State years where you see a lot of those things, a lot of those deep passing concepts that he likes to do. And when they had to play with Tyson Bagent, yeah, they beat the Raiders on those 3-yard passes. But when they started playing some other teams, he was throwing like 3 picks a game because he's Nathaniel Hackett, which he came under, right? He's
Yeah.
Nathaniel Hackett with short passes. So with his deep stuff is really cool. So that's what the Raiders need. They need a guy who can throw downfield. I mean, if they're gonna get somebody who can throw downfield, who could at least we could see Getsy do a whole bunch of cool stuff with some of the guys that could win deep. Devontae Adams can win deep. So could
Yes.
Jacoby Myers. And then there's Trey Tucker too.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you get if with Getsy can actually run what he wants to do, then it'll look pretty cool.
Cool. All right. Thank you for joining us here on the Put On Raiders podcast. You can definitely check out Marcus and his whole crew on Tape Don't Lie. It's 3 days away. Let's just get this thing done. I just I can't wait. I can't wait for everybody's reaction videos on the pick. I got like 4 cut ups already of like just ready to go. Press play. I learned from my ESPN days. Just have it cut already and just talk about it quickly.
Exactly.
Exactly. So we'll see what happens here with the Raiders here as far as the first round goes. All right. See you, Marcus. Take care, brother.
Peace, man.